If you've ever had something stupid break on your vehicle and you're the only person it's ever happened to, hit that like and subscribe button.
Well, here we're having all grades of fun here. We have to put a new intake on our 5.9 Limited. It's really weird. Anyway, we cleaned up a used intake that we bought on eBay, and the thing had a hole about right there. There's a water jacket block off on both sides like a small block Chevy, and for some reason a pinhole on the intake started right there and started throwing water right straight into the distributor, making it cut off just like that. It was really weird. I've asked everybody I know and no one's ever seen that, and I haven't either. I've done dozens of intakes. So anyway, we did the best we could with this one. We sandblasted it outside, not in a box, but that's coming after we get everything cleaned up. Anyway, this is what it looks like, and we're gonna do that and get it painted up so at least it looks decent. And we've started taking it apart here. Just got the alternator off. We're gonna take, I've already drained the antifreeze, get all that out of the way, and we'll start taking all the other crap off here in the next little bit, and it'll run into tomorrow. So anyway, we'll see where we end up. All right, we're back. Here's the new intake. We got it cleaned up pretty good, sprayed some ceramic paint on it, made it look, a lot better. Here's the old one. And what we found after getting it off and taking the engine apart, we found this, if you can see it right here, this clay looking stuff. It was granular. Didn't know what the heck that was, and it was in the water pump. Yeah, it was in the coolant hoses. We got as much of it as we could out, but what it was a cracked intake. I'll show you right here. You can see that.
Right there.
Right there.
Along the top.
Doesn't look like the light's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Rotate it over. There. That's better. You
Right
can see where
along
that
there.
sealant did seal the hole for a little while, but what was happening, and we have a little piece of video we can show you. This was squirting directly into the distributor cap at the very joint where the cap rests on the distributor itself, which would make it just shut off immediately.
Which is what it did on me.
Which is what it did, yeah.
While I was driving
it back home, yeah. So that was very uncool. And you never know what you're going to get when you buy a used vehicle. But here we have it all torn down, cleaned up. We did take the time to bead blast parts and paint them. There's all the repainted. Well, we bead blasted the aluminum and threw some ceramic silver on it. Some of those parts were blacks, but it doesn't matter. We're just going to paint them all silver. But it was a really nice Jeep, and I didn't really question why anybody would have sold it. But at 130,000 miles, as clean as this Jeep and nice as it was, now I know why. Because if you were to hire somebody to tear it down, not let alone cleaning it up or anything like that, you're probably going to spend between $600 to $1,000 to tear it down this far to replace it. And that's probably $1,000 would be the least, because you're going to replace the water pump while you're here. Well, at least most people would. And anything else that you can replace while you have it down, now's the time to do it. And that's what we're doing. It's going to run into 2 days. Actually run into 3 days, because we won't finish it today.
We're in the second day right now.
Yeah, so we're working on it about 6 hours a day. And that's about all we want anyway. But yeah, that's why. But it's that's what you get when you buy a used vehicle. You never know. But it is a pretty Jeep. Some bird shit on it, the door. But we'll get it back running here shortly. All right, we've made some progress over the last 3 or 4 hours we've been working on it. It's looking a lot better. Still not done yet. We had to improvise a little bit on the PVC itself. The other intake had another port right here for plugging into the PVC. This intake only had the one, but on this side it had two the same way, but one of them was plugged off, so I just brought the PVC, ran it around the intake over there, and then made the connection right there. So it's not the best, but it's the same thing. It's just pulling from opposite side of the intake. Everything's good. We're still putting it all back together, and maybe in a few minutes, well, before too long, we'll be starting it up. All right. It's all back together. We just started it. I wish I had turned it on, the video on first. Started it. We got new bearings on the idler pulley. We'll just be blasted it, painted it. I had a new bearing set laying around for it, so I pushed those in, and it's really happy right now. Sounds great. Yep. Everything looks good. I'm gonna let it run for a few minutes and let it warm up. Turn it back off. Check for leaks or whatever. And it's all good. Alright, we did have a valve cover gasket leak that we didn't address before we wrapped the engine up last time. And what we did was we took the old took the valve covers off, took the old gaskets out, and then scraped the top of the head where the valve cover mates to the head, and we beat blasted. Of course, it does help to have a cabinet to, a sandblasting cabinet. We did that, and at the last minute, instead of going back gloss black like they were, we went with the gray, and it's just it's a ceramic gray satin for, that's it. Actually, it says engine enamel primer with ceramic. I thought that was paint. My mistake.
Oh, me too.
That's why it's a little bit of a satin finish, but it looks pretty good. I like it better than I did the gloss black. Just looks cleaner, and of course it should. But anyhow.
Also, the Jeep silver too.
Yeah, and the Jeep's the platinum gray or platinum silver, and with the ceramic silver on the intake and all the other ancillary parts that we were able to paint, it ended up looking pretty good. Okay, it's all back together. New belt. Everything's all tied up like it's supposed to be. There's one modification we did make on your Jeep V8s, probably Dodge too, I'm not too sure. But if you'll notice, the radiator hose is way higher than the top of your radiator, which causes air problems, and it's hard to bleed, and just a general pain in the ass. The best way around it that I know of is to add a remote, what they call a remote reservoir. And I put it on a little bit on the downhill, but we held it up to fill this. This gets the highest point here, so it's easily filled. You fill the radiator up here and get as much as you can, let it run, crank it up for a minute, let it run, turn it off, then you finish filling it here. That's going to get all the air out of line, because that being relatively your highest point makes a world of difference. It's a modification that I think Jeep should have done to start with, and yeah, we're going to fire it up in a minute. You ready?
Yep. Oh, shit. I don't know.